Original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
I think this movie should be canceled. Hot take, I know. I was so excited, but I refused. I refuse for Rachel Zegler to go on this press tour. She just got out of hot water.
After making remarks on the Snow White remake, Rachel Zegler is facing a ton of backlash. And by the looks of it, fans do not agree with the controversial statements she made about the movie. If you are wondering why, make sure to keep watching because her comments will truly blow your mind. Okay, let's get started. This rising actress has been turning quite some heads and perking Disney fans' ears in a not so good way. And let me tell you, the issue she is causing is a lot more serious than you thought it might be. So serious that the newest Snow White live-action adaptation is being threatened to be canceled and never shown to the public at all. Sounds concerning, right? Well, Rachel, on the other hand, might not have looked way far ahead when she left controversial comments during her interviews that now Disney is suffering the consequences of her actions. Now, fans are super curious about what's going to happen next to this ambitious live-action remake. Did Disney make the wrong decision to cast Rachel as Snow White? Or is Rachel just ignorant enough to think that her comments won't bite her back? A lot of people are actually wondering what's going to happen next. And by the looks of it, things are not looking very bright for the actress. Let's just say, even people at Disney are scratching their heads after the mess unfolded. Originally, the live-action adaptation of the 1937 classic Snow White was set to be released in March of 2024. However, it was later on postponed, and fans who were excited about the movie were pretty disappointed. There were a lot of speculations about what really happened, but no one can give the exact answer. This also means there were tons of rumors. People are saying there were changes in the storyline or even changes being made in the cast, but not everyone was expecting the true reason. And I bet most of you are curious why it got pushed back, so here's the tea. The problem actually lies with the movie's main protagonist. Yes, Snow White herself. Rachel Zegler, known for her role in Steven Spielberg's remake of West Side Story in 2021, is not gaining a lot of attention for her rude and entitled attitude. After getting cast as Snow White for Disney's latest live-action adaptation project, Rachel had been publicly ruining the potential of the remake and even dragging the original 1937 during her interviews and press tours. As previously stated, the film is scheduled for release the following year after the production was postponed. However, Rachel's causing so much harm that others are questioning whether she will be removed from the film entirely. Additionally, reports have shown that things do not appear to be going well. But what specifically did she say to warrant all of this criticism? The live-action version of Disney's 1937 Snow White animation isn't scheduled for release until March 2025, but the main star of the movie is already the subject of a social media storm due to comments she made a year prior. Sadly, it's not for good reasons. Specifically, a video from Rachel's interview surfaced again, like a dark shadow, and she talked about the movie, princesses, and the role of Prince Charming. But wait, there's more. Additionally, Rachel was overheard speculating that the movie would cut out her scenes with co-star Andrew Burnap.
No Prince or a different kind of Prince?
We cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But it's
Her remarks simply serve to highlight the reason she is receiving backlash on the internet, since Andrew actually plays Prince Charming. However, Rachel's harsh remarks on the movie were not unique to this instance. In fact, in a different interview at the D23 Expo, Rachel told Extra TV that the original Snow White movie placed a lot of emphasis on Snow White's love story and outright referred to Prince Charming as a stalker, which incited a furor on the internet since it's clearly a bit out of line. They didn't do that this time, she stated, calling that portion of the narrative weird.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no prince or a different kind?
Rachel also adds fuel to the fire by highlighting Snow White's leadership qualities and the fact that she doesn't require a prince to save her.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
Not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
This has raised arguments about pseudo-feminism and how women who are strong and have the leader mentality are often more celebrated than those who are more laid back and just want to find true love. The princess's search for her Prince Charming and happily ever after is the main focus of the first Snow White film. And because Rachel seemed to point out how they dismissed that part of the story, many avid Disney fans are dismayed, noting that some classics don't really need a modern woke twist. She continued, though, with highly contentious remarks, admitting that she had only ever viewed the original film once before being cast because she was too afraid to watch it.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years when I was doing this film.
She was soon the target of backlash from everyone who said that she wasn't the right choice for the movie in the first place. As a result, online users are criticizing her for being too woke and making comments about the topic without giving her words any thought. You will undoubtedly be surprised by what others are saying about the most recent Snow White, since the remarks are similarly crazy. More specifically, there had been almost 9 million views on a TikTok video that went viral who had been criticizing Rachel for her inaccurate remarks. The creator of the video said, "Criticizing Disney princesses is not feminist."
Could literally write a PhD thesis on the pseudo-feminism that is criticizing Disney princesses. Criticizing Disney princesses is not feminist. Not every woman is a leader. Not every woman wants to be a leader. Not every woman wants or craves power, and that's okay.
In addition, the video's creator makes the argument that not all women aspire to be leaders, and that various people have different ideas about empowerment.
It is not anti-feminist to want to fall in love, to want to get married, to want to stay at home, to be soft, to want to be a homemaker. None of these things make you less valuable as a person or a woman.
Ultimately, Rachel ought to realize that there's nothing wrong with it. Arguments arose on the definition of authentic feminism and the necessity to make significant changes to the beloved original film. I mean, there was really nothing wrong with Snow White wanting to find her true love, right? So it actually quite irritates a lot of Disney fans at how Rachel seems to be rubbing it in their faces that her version of Snow White is strong and independent. Was 1937 Snow White not strong and independent enough? There are more materials that highlight how badly her PR handled the circumstance, which was something they might have prevented if they had given her the right information. Also, one thing that was also quite the center of talk about Rachel getting cast was her skin color. Don't get me wrong, it's nothing about those racist people of color stuff in Hollywood. It was actually about the authenticity of the story. So y'all know that originally Snow White was described as a lady whose skin was as white as snow, right? Like, that is how she was written. Obviously, Rachel does not look like that. She identifies herself as a white Latina, but she doesn't really have the white as snow skin the original story describes. Well, some have argued that this might be Disney's move to promote inclusivity in the film, but many argue that it really just takes the authenticity of the classic story away. As expected, fans were not having it and continued to share their 2 cents about the matter. One fan mentioned how strong-willed females can exist, but Rachel's point is definitely out of line. In the comment, the fan wrote, "Glad we can all agree she comes across as very rude and entitled. Very bold of her to do, when everyone I've talked to about it had no idea who she was until Snow White." While another pointed out how Rachel's opinions are super unnecessary and said, "I don't feel sorry for Rachel at all. If she doesn't like an old school story with romance and true love kiss, then just don't take the role. You can have your opinion about feminism and old school, happily ever after stories all you want, but don't ruin a storyline that's beloved by many or throw insults at fans for liking it. In turn, online speculations of a potential recasting have been circulating. This came about after she began to get unforgiving criticism everywhere. She is quite dubious about this, and it has viewers wondering if she is still the greatest choice to play a role. Literally, people are talking about having another actress replace Rachel and reshoot all her scenes. Like, how devastating is that? This project is also said to have over $200 million in budget, and if they did end up recasting and redoing Rachel's scenes, how much more will Disney need to pull out from their pockets? Is it even worth it? Or will they just trash this project as a whole? Although Rachel hadn't yet spoken her thoughts on the subject, everyone was waiting eagerly. However, only time will tell if she ever gets to play the part or if her dream of being with Prince Charming has really ended.